الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر. مبروك مبروك مبروك. بل 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 لا دواكم واحد لا دواكم بس.
Not gonna lie, I love me some good ingenuity. I mean, let's be honest, like taking a rocket pod and strapping it on top of a freaking truck and just launching it at your enemy seems like a really good time to me. I think those guys were just having a freaking ball. Let's see here. That would be the Sudanese army that ended up conducting that allegedly. That video is coming out of you guys out of Sudan. So today we're going to get into this, okay? We're going to talk about what's taking place over inside Lebanon, because right now Israel is bombing the crap out of it. Over inside southern Lebanon, in areas such as Nabatea, all right? Israel has been bombing Hezbollah positions, and it's not just there in Nabatea, it's actually in several other locations as well inside southern Lebanon. It's really not that far from the border. It's one of the locations that Israel fought over for a really long period of time, and things have been generally quiet with Hezbollah ever since last year. Orderly Chaos is coming and gifting us Speak the Truth membership. Good to have you guys. All right, from there, I'm going to take you guys up over into Gaza. We're going to talk about some of the things that are going on inside of there to build off a little bit of what I had yesterday. Seems like Hamas is not so much losing control, but they are fighting for control over Gaza right now, and I'll explain that a little bit more. I got some videos coming up for you guys, and just so you know, those videos are not... They're like borderline safe for watch as far as YouTube goes. It's violence, but I'm putting it in there for contextual matters. It doesn't show anybody getting killed, but it does show people getting hurt. So I'm just going to throw that out right here at the front of this video before we get into that. Whew, Orderly Chaos coming in, gifting out another Speak the Truth membership. Appreciate that, man. Then we're going to go over and we're going to talk about this new Democratic mayoral candidate for New York City. I found some more dirt on him, got some more quotes out of him, and just kind of an idea for what's going on. I also want to let you guys know that I'm looking into the Epic City over in Plano, Texas. I've got some new interesting information that kind of came out of there. Some of the things that are going on in the surrounding area, it definitely looks like they're attempting to, I don't want to like say take over, but start dominating the surrounding areas. And I figured out why. It's because in order for Epic City to be set in, it looks like they need to have a little bit more, I didn't want to say like buy-in from the people that are around them. Uh-oh, hold my beer. Hold my beer. Dude, it is Friday morning. Ain't time for holding beers yet. It ain't that time. You got to at least wait till you cross over noon. That way nobody accuses you of being an alcoholic. That's just a general rule of thumb. Jamie Pierce becoming a true supporter, in Wukong OG3 gifting us Speak the Truth membership. Appreciate that, brother. All right, let's go ahead and get right into it. Let's just show you guys what the heck is going on over inside southern Lebanon. So inside this video, this is obviously following an airstrike on a Lebanese Hezbollah rocket storage location, allegedly. And I say allegedly because that's what's being reported in the video, but you can see plenty of rockets that were shooting off. Now, what the IDF says is that they were, basically reconsolidating, reorganizing these locations where they're not supposed to be. The real question is where the hell is the UN? Because the UN is supposed to be taking care of all this stuff, right? We even have like a U.S. contingent over there that's supposed to be working on this. So why this still exists over inside southern Lebanon, why Hezbollah is able to rebuild to this point, is a very good question. Now, last year I ended up showing you guys videos of Hezbollah climbing on top of like UN vehicles and just hanging out with the boys, like even hanging flags off of UN vehicles, for crying out loud. So this crap just shouldn't exist. I mean, a stockpile of this large, I mean, the reason I felt like talking about this today is because this isn't like a small stockpile. This isn't like one tiny little Hezbollah cell that decided to like go down and set up down in here. And I think it's kind of indicative, like, I don't want to say it's kind of ironic. How about that? It's kind of ironic that we know Hezbollah is a proxy force for Iran. And after all, and it's all been quiet up there for a very long period of time. It's been very, very quiet up there for a very long period of time. And then after all of these strikes get done on Iran, we now have an Iranian proxy force that's moved into the northern border of Israel and was setting up to launch a major attack. I think that's very clear. Incog Faraday coming in and giving out 5 Speak the Truth memberships. Thank you. And so it would seem to me, and I think any other person with common sense, because this is what Iran does, they maintain a degree of separation, that they told Hezbollah to have at it. They told Hezbollah, go ahead and go set up. This is the Beaufort Ridge area over inside southern Lebanon. That sucker was getting the shit bombed out of it too. I should probably open up the map and show you guys where all this stuff is actually coming out of. Yeshua, Christ King, says, Jesus Christ is King. No PDF file profits here. God bless you and your family, Matt, from another man, or another Matt in Australia. Well, heck yeah, man. Good day, mate. Love you guys. Love you guys so much. You guys actually make my day. My favorite was like talking to I'm trying to remember who it was. Was it Aussie Mick? I don't remember, man, but we had this Australian truck driver that had like called into the show one time telling me that he had like hit a freaking kangaroo or something with a semi, or he went to go get out the freaking truck and like ended up getting a boxing match with one of the roos over there. You guys are on a different level over in Australia, man. That's all I can say about that. Y'all are on a different level.
الله اكبر راح تكفر بنيت يا لطف الله الله اكبر لك الضرب الثاني لك يا لطف الله شو ولع الله اكبر بعد في واحد. الله اكبر كفرت بنيت.
Now, coming up here in just a minute, I'm going to show you guys Hezbollah and the Lebanese people are claiming that Israel ended up killing a civilian in a targeted airstrike in a nearby village to where all this was taking place. But actually, the thing that I think was happening, and I got to bring that up, before I get that video up on the screen about where they're claiming it's happening, because I want you to take a look at all of like the sympathetic firing of these rockets that are going out here. God only knows where those things are going to go, and they're going to land. And they are like, what Hezbollah and what the Lebanese people are claiming is that Israel conducted an airstrike on an apartment building that ended up killing somebody and injuring a bunch. Israel has came back and answered and said, no, we didn't do that. It was actually one of these that's up here on the screen. Sorry, one of these. I got to point the opposite direction. This thing totally screws me up. That are up on your screen. So don't complain about it, because that's Hezbollah rockets. We didn't do that crap. Wukong OG3 says, the UN taking care of this stuff. This is them taking care of it. I honestly don't know what they do other than condemning Israel. Happy Friday. Yeah, and that's, I mean, let's be honest, like, UN's had a lot of issues when it came down to this war in between, what's taking place with Hezbollah up in Lebanon and what takes place over inside Gaza. There's just a bunch of garbage that's just constantly going on there. Hi. Now, it definitely looks like there's like an electric fire or something like that down over here in the middle that is like sparking and going off. It's unknown whether or not like these videos that I'm playing through, by the way, and I had to show that initial video up front because I think it's fair, because it's unknown right now whether or not Israel was just targeting these mountainous regions where Hezbollah was located, or whether or not these are Hezbollah rockets that ended up like shooting off after they got targeted and impacting the surrounding villages. And I think that is a very likely cause of these. I'm not trying to stand up or deny that Israel will conduct airstrikes in an urban area. I just am picturing, all right, well, if Hezbollah was setting up, where are they going to do it? What are their TTPs before in the past? Yes, we know they use buildings to store things. Yes, we know they end up kicking civilians out of their home and putting everything inside there. We learned all of that last year when Israel had gone into Lebanon, and we saw the amount of crap that they had stored inside buildings, but Israel cleared most of those out. I would think, and I'm probably not 100% accurate when I say this, that a lot of those rockets would, start being stored in different locations, but I definitely could see them being stored inside people's buildings. So it's not outside the realm of possibilities that what you're looking at here on your screen is the aftermath of an Israeli strike. But I put an equal amount of probability that it is a Hezbollah rocket that ended up launching off. Everybody knows that Fizzle Bubbly Factory. LOL, not. Yeah, it's a fizzle bubble factory. Yeshua, Christ King, becoming a true supporter. Welcome to the club, brother. Appreciate having you over here. All right, here's another look at the broader airstrikes. This one is a little bit further at a distance to give you guys an idea of just how many of these dang things that they ended up launching. Look at that. Now, I counted 8 different strike locations in this one video. 8 different strike locations. That tells me that it wasn't just one tiny little, like, Lebanese Hezbollah terror cell that had gone over to set these things up. This is a definitely larger scale rocket attack that they were looking at launching on Israel. And I think when Israel ends up releasing all of the information on this, it wasn't out. They could put it out by the time I'm done with this live session. To the extent that Hezbollah was setting, to the extent that Hezbollah was setting up, something just fell on the floor upstairs and scared the living crap out of me. Good thing I'm in a bunker. So yeah, to the extent that that's happening, we're not sure, but we're going to end up figuring out here in the future of what they were setting up. God, man, that made my heart jump. I don't know if you guys saw me jump on camera, but dude, that scared the freaking crap out of me, man. Sitting here looking at war stuff and just boom upstairs. Like, dang, gosh dang, man. All right, so now we're going to go inside of one of these villages and take a look at it. Statement from the IDF spokesperson, Lieutenant Colonel Adre, said the IDF did not target any civilian building. The buildings were damaged by Hezbollah rockets. Hezbollah continues to store its rockets near residential areas and endangers the Lebanese population by refusing to hand over its weapons to the Lebanese state. The Lebanese government bears responsibility for what occurs on its soil due to its failure to confiscate Hezbollah's heavy weapons and rockets. So that is the statement that the IDF ended up putting out on this matter. Yeah. I mean, when I end up looking at like the scenes of destruction and stuff like that, it definitely does not appear to me as if this is an airstrike, like aftermath of an airstrike, unless Israel was using a very precision guided munition. It just doesn't seem that way. Yeah. It just doesn't at all. The roadway, apparently. And again, there was a road that was wrapping. I believe what you're looking at right here is a closer up view of that longer, like linear target that we saw the IDF going off on. But yeah, you can very clearly see that you have this airstrike that's taking place right above this car, this big one in an open area. And right outside that is this building. They're not targeting the building. They're targeting the open space. Why? Likely because that all of these are different rocket launch sites that Hezbollah had set up on the hill. And I bet you if I was to go and find this location, take the time and geolocate it, you'd have a east-west running hillside, and all of those rockets would be oriented south going down and towards Israel. So how do they operate? What do they do? Well, you have this main road that's set up right there, and then you have that house that's down over kind of in the center of the screen. Once I put it up, you know, you guys can kind of see it just chilling right up over there. Reason I said earlier on, I don't put it, past Hezbollah of doing this. They do have their little different smuggling routes. Hezbollah is still a terror organization, regardless of the type of freedom of movement that they have within this region. And they are, believe it or not, trying to hide things from the UN, even though it doesn't seem like they are. They're still going to try to hide things from the UN and other people that are down in the area. So they're going to use their smuggling routes. They're going to store it inside of buildings like that. They're going to be given a time to set these things up. Those rockets just aren't sitting out in the open the entire time. So for Israel to conduct these airstrikes out in the open like that, that says to me that Hezbollah was preparing to attack Israel. Basically, there was an imminent attack on Israel, an imminent threat on Israel, and they acted in order to defeat that threat. And it certainly looks like it went that way. Good morning, everybody. Happy birthday, Matt. Dude, the first time I heard you guys shouting happy birthday at me, I was so flipping confused. Had no idea.
Allahu Akbar راحتك فرز بنات يا لطف الله الله أكبر لك الضرب الثاني لك يا لطف الله شو ولع الله أكبر بعد في واحد.
I like it. Just going to keep conducting airstrikes out there. Oh, here's a new video. I haven't seen this one.
محمد يا محمد يا محمد دغري وجه منظر مرعب فين استعرف في إلي فوق استهدفها على فكرة. في الفيل.
You guys can clearly see, right? Like, this is why I brought this up. This is a much bigger deal than I think is getting current attention. Because number one, the ceasefire is now broke. All right. But number two, Hezbollah is that proxy force of Iran. And we're sitting there waiting on this ceasefire, you know, alleged ceasefire / peace deal in between Israel and Iran. And Hezbollah is setting up large scale attacks. Now, if Israel has intelligence, right, that says that, you know, this was ordered by the IRGC or that the IRGC was complicit in this and helped them out in any type of way, there is a possibility, albeit a small one in my opinion, that Israel opens up on Iran yet again. Wukong OG3 coming in 499 says, just wondering, does Lebanon support Hezbollah or do they suck? They've been there forever. Also, happy birthday. Hey, thanks, Wukong. That's a very good question. The political situation inside Lebanon is like quite different when you go and you look at it. They do have members of the Lebanese parliament that definitely support Hezbollah. Hezbollah has more than infiltrated the government over inside of there. But the Lebanese government, right? I'm assuming that's what you're talking about when you say Lebanon. But the Lebanese government has basically vowed to dismantle Hezbollah. They were demanding that they're turning in weapons and all this other garbage, but it's just not happening. Okay. And again, you have people that are sympathetic to that cause and sympathetic to that movement. And it's complicated, man. It's dirty as hell. I don't know how else to say that. Yeshua Christ coming in, gifting out another Speak the Truth membership. Thank you very much. Appreciate you. So yeah, over inside Lebanon, I mean, it's different. If you want to know whether or not they support them, it depends on who you ask, whether or not they actually support them. Because yeah, some of the people most definitely support them. Beyond the shadow of a doubt, they are supported. But the question is how much of the government, how much they've been infiltrated, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, right? Because there is a huge chunk of the government that does support them, but there's a lot of people that don't. Over inside southern Lebanon, just south of the Litani River, I pull this map up, Hezbollah pretty much had freedom of movement for a very long period of time until Israel went in there last year and started clearing them out and pushing them back. And Hezbollah was supposed to remain north of the Litani. That was part of the dang deal. But these locations, these areas, Nabatea, for example, is definitely south. And I ought to pull it up just to show you guys. And maybe, matter of fact, after this video ends up, burning, I'll pull it up on the map here and show you guys like where this place is located. Hezbollah's got no business being here. They're not supposed to be there, and they're definitely not supposed to be setting up rockets to shoot at Israel. And it is my opinion, because I heard, what was it, 2 days ago? I heard 2 days ago that Israel ended up conducting a cross-border raid over into Lebanon and taking out a couple targets as well. They didn't conduct airstrikes. They didn't do like any of that crap. They did it all quietly. And now what it appears is that this is going on. So what I think was actually happening was Israel ended up having intelligence of like a certain portion of it, went over to act on that, and then Hezbollah ended up bringing up something bigger. I think these are new marching orders that ended up coming down for Hezbollah. I don't think this was something that they had like sat around and planned for days and days and days. I feel like this was more of a hasty attack that they went to go set up. Whenever they do it in a very rapid manner in that way, they're able to get a lot more information. There's a lot more intel leaks that Israel would be able to get. I also think that if Israel was conducting a cross-border raid just a couple days ago over into southern Lebanon, that maybe, just maybe, they would have also taken care of this threat at the exact same time. I don't think they would have waited for more things to come out in order to make it happen. So that's my opinion. I think that likely these are new orders that ended up getting sent down by Iran in order to provoke Israel. I also think that this is Iran's attempt to get back at Israel. Why? Because Hezbollah has been in fear of getting wiped out for a while. They don't want to get wiped off the planet. They know that they're going to get wiped off the planet. Let me open up this map for you guys so I can show you where all of these strikes are taking place. Normally that's something I would do up ahead of time, but I didn't today. I will next time. I need to get back on my map tracking and stuff. I got so lazy with like the Iran conflict that was going on because it's just so easy to get all of that crap out. All right, so we get us up over on the map and we go up over in here and we start looking. Now, if I remember right, I didn't even look this place up yet. I feel like Nabatea is right down over here in the middle. Give me a sec. I want to make sure I get this right. Oh, stop. just so we can pull that up and you guys can see exactly where it's at. And there she is. Right there. All right, so here you have Metula, which is where the IDF ended up pushing, and this is Nabatea right up over here in the northern location. If you guys can see that right here as I zoom in on it. So a little bit further north, but IDF did end up reaching up towards that area when they were pushing, right? I remember seeing all of that crap. So what's the deal? What's going to end up coming out of this? Well, that's a very good question. I wish I could tell you guys what's going to end up coming out of these strikes. I would like to think that the UN would get picked up off their butt and told to go do their dang job. This to me is a sign that the UN is not doing their job. And if anything, this is going to give Israel a hell of a lot more ammo to then go before the international community and state, listen, UN, you were supposed to be over here. You were supposed to make sure that none of this crap was going to happen. Lebanon, you were supposed to be disarming them. You're supposed to be making sure that they're pushed north of a very particular region, and you 1000% didn't do that. So I could definitely see them getting kind of pissed off and using that as a great reason, great excuse to take care of this. Why is this video not playing for me? It's going to drive me nuts if it won't do it. Let me get this up on the screen. Oh, come on now. All right, well, I've got a close-up view of that actual apartment building, but for some reason the video's not playing. Here's another view. Different angle, but angle nonetheless. Now, this is the building allegedly over inside of Nabatea where there was at least one death that had occurred. Again, Israel stating that this is because of some of the Hamas rockets that were being set up to shoot at Israel, and Israel ended up launching their airstrike. The rockets end up cooking off. One goes up and slams down here. Now, from what I've seen from Israeli airstrikes, this definitely doesn't fit the bill, right? Like when it comes down to it, they would have had to use a very small diameter bomb in order to make this happen, to have that little amount of damage. And they would have been targeting somebody in particular, and we would have heard about that. Israel is very good at announcing the people that they go after in targeted airstrikes like this, where they take out a single floor, they launch a tiny little precision guided small diameter bomb, take out a floor of an apartment, take out a floor of a building. And then they say, hey, look, we killed this nut job, right? And so what I am actually waiting for and thoroughly expecting is to have some information coming out from the IDF, if that is the case, that they ended up targeting somebody there. This is the Beaufort Ridge area over inside southern Lebanon. It is over near Mount Shkif, if I pronounce that correctly.
صواريخ اوف بقى بيعملوا غارات
That's just a lot of crap on fire, right? And again, the more of these videos that I'm able to see and look at kind of gives me an idea for how many munitions Hezbollah actually had set up. I think this is a much larger scale attack that Hezbollah had set up and ready to go on Israel, and that Israel is just kind of remaining a little bit quiet about it. I wouldn't be surprised if Trump's already called Netanyahu and said, hey man, yeah, of course you bombed the crap out of them. Do me a favor though, don't bomb Iran. Take care. You have a right to self-defense. Defend yourself, defend your people. Kill Hezbollah. We'll deal with this situation here in a little bit. Jack Ray coming in, gifting out 5 Speak the Truth memberships. Appreciate you, Jack. Yeah, it's just it's a crap situation. I think Israel is going to find itself, and I've said it before, you know, we've talked about Iran dying down, but Israel's got 3 different fronts that they're busy trying to fight. Obviously, they have to deal with what is taking place over inside Gaza, right? Like if we were to look at this realistically speaking, Israel's got to take care of business. They've got to take care of things over inside of Gaza. They really do. They got to take care of all this crap. Down inside here, and we're gonna get there in a minute, but they also have other issues and operations that are going on over inside of the West Bank. And I saw reports of Israeli settlers yesterday that ended up getting in kind of like a fight with some of the Palestinians. They ended up going into a particular area. They got in a fight with the Palestinians. A couple Palestinians ended up getting shot, and a bunch of crap was lit on fire. And it's being said that the settlers were the ones that ended up instigating it with the Palestinians in this particular incident. I didn't get a lot more information on it other than that. Yeshua coming in, gifting out 3, baby. 3. Appreciate you, friend. And so we've got that to deal with, right? Israel's also been launching lots of targeted operations up over inside of Jenin, and I saw that they launched an offensive like last week up over in there. I should probably check on that, because what's taking place in the West Bank isn't getting a lot of media attention. It's not getting a lot of anything. And if there is going to be a terror attack, like let's say that Hezbollah was preparing to launch these rockets from southern Lebanon. What we've seen in the past, all right, is that when these rocket attacks are coming out of southern Lebanon, there was multiple times last year when you end up having like active shooters, stabbers, other terror attacks that were actually taking place on soil, over like on the ground over inside Israel in conjunction with those. And it kind of sows a little bit of confusion. But the other thing it does is it shows coordination. If we see some of those targeted attacks taking place over inside of Israel today, some other terror attacks inside Israel, I think it's fair to say that the IRGC helped coordinate a complex attack on Israel with things of that nature. Wasn't aware of any rockets that ended up flying out of Gaza to Israel, so that again goes to show how broken down Hamas is. Most of the time when Hezbollah would do these things in the past, you would end up seeing combinations between Hezbollah, Hamas, and some of the little freaking militant groups that are running over around inside of Judea, Samaria. Leaf Eric says, are those retarded UN troops who said Israel attacked their positions last year still in Lebanon, still closing their eyes on Hezbollah? Yes, they are. Yeah, and you gotta, I was, and again, looking at those bases from last year, I remember doing those reports on it, and it was Israel that was moving forward and falling into ambushes as they were assaulting forward, and there was no possible way that the Israeli tanks were firing on that building just because of the terrain, the distance, and everything. Like, I analyzed the crap out of it, and it ended up kind of just going away. But yeah, the UN had claimed that Israel ended up firing on their positions. In reality, what we had was Israeli armored vehicles that were moving up a hill that were getting ambushed, and they were being ambushed by recoilless rifle fire from Hezbollah or anti-tank guided missiles from Hezbollah. And those would have definitely made sense for if struck that UN position. But what it wasn't was the IDF. People are saying that the tank ended up blasting into the freaking tower. It's not possible. The terrain didn't allow it for where the IDF was at the time when all of that went down. So yes, those would be, in answer to your question, Levi, yes, those are the same retarded UN troops, right? They do rotate through different countries. I've got like a country list of all the different like UN countries that are over there. They've actually got it kind of like sliced up into a different pizza pie. So I guess technically it's likely different UN troops, different countries are responsible for different areas. And so likely it's a different group of UN troops that are responsible for it. But even looking at the UN troops that were over there, a lot of these guys haven't done a dang thing. Like there are a lot of smaller countries that haven't done anything like whatsoever. I'm gonna take you guys over into Gaza real quick because I want to show you a brand new video that just came out of there. I'm just going to pause on this new Gaza cafe thing for a minute before I let it play, and it goes over to their Instagram page where you can see that they just posted all of this crap. But these are videos that are coming out of this place called the New Gaza Cafe, and it's hilarious because it goes against their narrative that the entire place is just leveled and people live like crap there, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But I'm going to show you another video where, yes, there's a lot of people that are living like that. But once we continue on with this video, you can see that there's people opening up brand new businesses. All right. There's their Facebook page. There's when they ended up posting everything. You guys can see it all right there. All right. These are new videos that they're putting out in June showing how amazing that freaking New Gaza Cafe is. And you guys are more than welcome to go look that up and fact check it for yourself. It's the second promo video that I've actually seen for that particular restaurant. Other one ended up getting put out yesterday, believe it or not. So yeah, anyways, do I think that there's a lot of issues going on over there? Yeah. All right. Luckiest IDF soldier that I've seen in a very, very long period of time. And I mean, damn lucky. I don't know if you guys have seen this video before. I haven't. I saw it and I was like, holy cow. Now, that is probably one of the luckiest people that I've ever seen in my life. This video definitely, and we'll watch it again here in a sec and actually analyze it a little bit, because this is a sniper threat, right? And I was talking about over inside of Gaza why people are staying in their armored vehicles and how Hamas is able to creep out the holes and just throw freaking explosive devices into the turrets of these freaking armored vehicles, right? The deal is, though, is they do have a lot of snipers, and that sniper threat is real, and they do have very large caliber freaking sniper rifles. Now, when I start this video over, I want you to pay attention, all right? This is a very good camera that's zoomed in on this guy. It's a hell of a good camera, like HD camera zoomed way the hell out. I want you to listen at how long you'll watch the flash of this guy's muzzle go off, and then you'll end up hearing the report from his rifle, this IDF soldier that's pictured right here. You're going to hear the report of his rifle. It ends up coming back. And it's way out there. And you hear how quick the report of the enemy sniper is that ends up going over there. Now, he didn't take a direct hit to the head. You can actually see the trace of that rifle as it goes down. As that round starts going in, you could watch the trace. It actually looks like the trace came back in, and it ended up striking like the top to back of his head. It ended up ricocheting and working its way out. So if that sniper had just dialed it down just a tad, he would have definitely killed this guy. But you can see that trace come right in and fly like right out over top of his head. You know, I thought I closed Telegram. It's really annoying that that's still dinging on me. I don't know why it's doing that, man. I have absolutely no idea why. Here's another airstrike video that came out of Gaza. This is a newer one. I haven't seen this one. I kind of figured that was like a little bit of an older video, but check this crap out. Like, you want to talk about like running for your dear life? Now, I'm just going to let this video play a couple times, because this is another one that is floating around the internet trying to show like the brutality and the barbarianism of the Israeli Air Force, the Israeli Defense Force, as that goes out. Here's the problem, though, is that I have seen plenty of videos coming out of Gaza where they are using runners in order to create communication networks, right? Now, for those of you who are unaware, runners is the most secure form of communication on the battlefield. This guy would essentially be carrying the message. And what I've seen in the past is they end up following, like the Israelis, Intel, ISR, etc., ends up following guys like this. On ISR, and then they'll ride up to that particular location. And what they're doing is they know, for example, that this guy is the runner. So they're looking for somebody. They can't find somebody, but they know that this individual has communications with them. They will have this individual, right? And they'll follow him with a drone until it ends up getting to the appropriate location. And I say this because there's an actual video of this taking place overhead where you watch this kid approach on a bike, go up over, receive some stuff from a Hamas commander. He ends up getting whatever information it is he is supposed to from this Hamas commander. As soon as the bike is clear of the target area, they end up launching the airstrike and killing the enemy combatant. Reading Rambo says the only notifications I get are for members only. Well, that's absolutely insane. I do know that YouTube ended up having a new notification process for how everything goes. So make sure, ladies and gentlemen, that if you're not subscribed to the channel, that you are. And if you are subscribed to the channel, turn on your dang notifications, even if you end up not watching a video, because this is the way that YouTube is working. Let's say you always go back and you watch a video later. If you go back and you watch that video later, that's more than acceptable. I'm more than okay with that. Watch any of my live streams whenever you want. But what ends up happening is if you don't click on the notification when it comes up and you're ignoring notifications, eventually YouTube is just AI, just automatically ignores them. So that's how that works. So if you want to make sure that YouTube keeps pushing you your notifications, you have to at least like click on those things every now and then to make sure that YouTube keeps pushing them to you. So yeah, it's my belief after watching this that that's likely a freaking runner, that the IDF ended up following this guy with a drone, figuring out who it was, who he was talking to, waited for him to clear the area. Like, obviously he survived. He's not happy. He got hit with a bunch of freaking crap falling down, but he's probably alive. All right. But chances are that guy in the video that looks perfectly and totally innocent isn't. chances are that he was over meeting up with somebody that they needed to target, and he was the way that they ended up finding him. Just throwing that information out there for you guys. All of that happens. Now, these next two videos that I'm gonna have up on the screen, I'm gonna warn you guys that they are brutal. And this isn't like the joke that I closed off last night. These are actual, I don't want to say brutal, but they show violence. I'm just going to throw that out there. They show violence, right? And they show people getting hurt. But the reason I'm doing it is for contextual purpose, because Hamas is losing its grip inside of the Gaza Strip. They're actually going after people. Now, I told you guys yesterday that they were executing people for going over the humanitarian aid distribution points. I told you that they had attacked civilians on their way to the humanitarian aid distribution points. I told you that they had attacked and killed and shot people who were leading some of those protests and the resistance movements and the uprisings. Well, today I ended up coming across two different videos, two of them that I was able to find, that shows Hamas actually beating and breaking people's legs. It is important that I state this while these videos are playing, that I'm doing this for documentary purposes to let you guys know that this is going on and that I'm not condoning these attacks. However, according to YouTube's guidelines and rules, which I am clearly stating, I'm allowed to show these things for documentary purposes. They might demonetize the video, but at the end of the day, this is actually what's taking place over inside of Gaza right now. I told you guys that there was lots, and I mean lots, of freaking things that I have came across that I cannot show you. This is one of those things that I can, at least I hope so. Otherwise, I'm going to end up getting a strike, and that's okay. But it's important to me that this information actually gets out there for you guys. All right? This is what Hamas is doing. They are taking these people that are going over these humanitarian aid distribution sites. They're grabbing them. If they're showing any sort of sympathy whatsoever to the IDF, if they're showing any sort of, how do I want to say this? If they look like they're going to defect from Hamas, they are also taking them. This next guy that I'm about to put up on the screen allegedly is a Hamas defector, or somebody that was showing sympathy towards the IDF. Again, when I tell you guys these things, I absolutely mean it. I don't make this stuff up. I'm not telling you it for my own personal, like, whatever belief. But I do see a lot of signs that Hezbollah is losing control, that being one of them. For a while there, they were trying to act as if they were the good people for, you know, the Gazans, and that they were going to go over there and they were going to take care of them. That's not what we're seeing. And we're also seeing members of Hamas that are pulling out. This video that I'm about to show you right here is allegedly of a member of Hamas. And again, putting this up here for documentary purposes. It doesn't show him getting killed. It shows him being hurt. And it is for documentary purposes. This is documentary purposes. I'll say it again. This is for documentary purposes. That is within the guidelines of YouTube's, I don't know, guidelines. They literally beat this guy until he went limp. And one of them's actually, believe it or not, using a table leg. You can actually see the table leg right here in the beginning. It's one of those things from like Anchorman that you're like, yeah, that's hilarious. Nobody does that. No, they absolutely do. You can actually see it right there in that video. He ends up smashing this dude's leg with a table leg. Why? Because he was defecting from Hamas. That's why. Reportedly, allegedly, that's what was taking place. And in conjunction, when we start talking about the reports that are coming out of attacks taking place or future attacks, well, one, attacks taking place outside of the humanitarian aid distribution points, and two, that Hamas is planning to attack one of the HA distribution points, and that they're setting up and that they're definitely conducting plans in order to do so. To me, it definitely seems like what is going on is Hamas is losing control. Hamas is losing control. M. Torark, I can't even say your name, Mr. Toker. In war, truth is the first casualty. You are correct. And what's really sad is that you do not see these things that are getting reported on. And this is what actually matters inside of these battles. And this is what I was talking to you guys about, is the battle for human terrain over inside Gaza. If Hamas loses control of the people, this is going to happen. Now, what do you think is going to happen? Number one, these are, what, 2 videos that I found. Now, how much do you think that this has actually occurred before it got captured on video and then got leaked out to where people actually took it and sent it out? I promise you this is happening at a much larger scale than what is being reported on. There's no way this is not, like, if this was one isolated incident and the video ended up making its way out, but we have 2 of them, all right, that are coming out. I've got other videos in the past showing Hamas grabbing people and shooting them in the legs, all of that crap. This, I promise you, is happening on a large scale. And if the IDF ends up, or the United States of America, or the Israelis, whoever, ends up entering into any sort of a ceasefire agreement with Hamas in hopes that they're going to end up getting those hostages in exchange back, like what was reported on yesterday, they run the risk of losing the war in Gaza. They run the risk of allowing Hamas to regain a foothold, to regain momentum, to actually scare the people. If Hamas can prove to the people that the Israelis can't protect them, then the people will not rise up. Then the people will not go and get their HA. So, in my opinion, it is not a good idea to work with any sort of ceasefire agreement with Hamas. The IDF must continue to push through Gaza, and they must continue to crush Hamas. Otherwise, crap like this is going to continue to happen. You're going to continue to have all of this happen. And when the IDF pulls out, it's not just going to be beatings like this. You're going to have mass executions. You're going to actually see a lot of people getting schwacked. They're going to be going out, and they're going to be finding everybody in those videos, and they're going to be killing them. That is going to scare the living hell out of the people inside Gaza for them not to rise up. If people are wondering why nobody's risen up in Iran yet, why there hasn't been a revolution over inside of Iran, because they're worried about things like that happening and taking place. Inside Gaza, it's just as flippin' bad. I mean, just as bad, that they absolutely have to worry about. However, is that stopping them from going over and getting humanitarian aid? That's a really good question, right? When we look at it, has Hamas's tactics been effective yet? No, I do not believe that they have. I believe that the people are fed up with Hamas to a very good extent. And I think the only way these people are going to stop, or they're going to turn this around, is if Hamas, or if the IDF ends up pulling back out of Gaza or pulling over to the fence line and just kind of lets Hamas run wild in the city. Why do I say that I don't think it's effective yet? Because of things like this. I can't do the music. Even though you have all of those things that are happening, and all of those things that are taking place, and all of those beatings, all of those murders, all of those killings outside of these HA points, right? You still have a ton of people that are showing up to get their humanitarian aid, and they're happy to do so, and they're happy to get it. Lots of people that are walking away with tons of crap. All right. Now, that is where it sits today, that they're still there. But what it does show is that Hamas is losing control. I showed you guys yesterday the video, or last night, I think, on the stream. It was last night, not yesterday morning, last night. Ended up showing on the stream that you have large militias now and clans that are actually standing up, that are armed, that are going after Hamas. Jimmy coming in and gifting out $1.50 in Canadian dollars. Appreciate you, Jimmy. Now I want to focus on something just, I don't know, that I think needs a little bit more attention. And that is going to be the new, he ended up winning the Democratic primary to run for mayor over inside of New York. And if people in New York don't wake up to this guy, he's actually a lot worse than I thought.
We are back with Zohran Mamdani, who is poised to win the Democratic primary for New York City over Andrew Cuomo for New York City mayor. Before we continue the conversation, I just want to play, because that's what this is, play more of Mamdani telling his story.
To quote the words of a famous New Yorker, allow me to reintroduce myself. I was born in Kampala, Uganda, in East Africa. I was given my middle name Kwame by my father, who named me after the first prime minister of Ghana.
I moved to this city when I was 7. This is the city I fell in love with, the city where I got my citizenship.
He's been in the New York Assembly for 4 years, and before that, he was an aspiring rapper under the name Mr. Cardamom. Listen. Once you do it, it's out there. It never comes back. It's there.
Didn't think it was going to be on CNN.
It's there, and there it is. So what do you say to people who look at your background and they wonder? They say, okay, rising star you may be, but this is the largest city in America, $112 billion budget, 8 million people, and a hell of a lot of problems. And they say, okay, whatever the future may be, you're not ready now.
I would say that a campaign offers a glimpse of what an administration would look like. And we built a campaign the likes of which the city has not seen in a long time. We started with 2 full-time employees and now are managing 50,000 volunteers. At the beginning of this race, there were questions of whether we'd get 50,000 votes. And yet we had 50,000
volunteers.
50,000 volunteers who knocked on 1.5 million doors, made 2.1 million phone calls. And ultimately, it's a story of not only being able to inspire people, but absorb that inspiration and build an organization. And I think that's also the story of what it means to run a city, that you...
Now, this guy presents very well on CNN. He presents very well on a lot of different platforms, but how radical are his beliefs? Again, I did a little bit of digging. Obviously, he called to globalize the Intifada. And for those of you guys that don't know, it's a violent uprising. Intifada, violent uprising. Intifada has only been used by the Palestinians. It's one of their deals to where they have had 2 different ones in the past where they go and they murder Israelis and they end up picking a fight and starting a war. That guy is more than okay with globalizing the Intifada. He's also part of the BDS movement, and he thinks that that's a good idea as well. And he calls for, BDS movements and all the other garbage. But what's his stance when it comes to, some other things? For example, what's his stance when it goes down to Sharia law? And I think that's very important for you guys to understand, because in New York City, you have I think it is the largest concentration of Jewish people in the United States of America. Okay, so New York City, largest concentration of Jewish people here in the United States of America, who are also the #1 discriminated against group, according to FBI crime statistics, when it goes down to hate crimes, right? So it's very important to me that if we're going to have a mayor of New York City that has the largest the largest concentration of Jewish people in America, not to have a guy that endorses Sharia law.
What is Sharia law? Yes. You denounce it, though. I'm asking you. I'm running. I know, but I'm asking you. That's the point. If you're going to run for mayor, you have to denounce it. Do you denounce that?
What is Sharia law?
I come from a political tradition Donald Trump describes as the enemy within. We came here to remake this state in the image of our people.
Sharia law. What is Sharia law? Yes. You denounce it, though. I'm asking you.
This guy will not denounce Sharia law and pretends like he doesn't know what it is. Sharia law is not consistent with the U.S. Constitution, and it's not consistent with American values. It oppresses women, it oppresses men, it oppresses everybody that doesn't fall underneath this guy's Islamic faith. And yet he is not willing to denounce Sharia law. And he calls to globalize the Intifada. That is an issue. That is a major issue, and it's time for people inside of New York to wake up. There's a lot of other problems that we end up having with this gentleman. It's not just that he refuses to denounce Sharia law. He is being platformed by a lot of different freaking people around the world. He said in that CNN interview that he was shocked that he was able to get 50,000 volunteers to help with his campaign. So how did he go about doing that? How did he get all of these volunteers to help him out? Good question.
The value of sacrifice. And we know that to win those things, we will not simply be given them, we have to win them at the ballot box. Alhamdulillah, there are 1 million Muslims in New York City. 200,000 of us are registered as Democrats. And what it will take to win this race is every single brother and sister in this Jamaat joining us on election day.
Now, how do we think he ended up getting so many volunteers? I'm not going to state how he ended up doing it. I'm not going to state where they all came from. But I got a pretty dang good feeling I know exactly how he ended up doing it. He's organizing people that are going to support him within his religious base and bringing them out to do this work for them. They want to be represented just like everybody else. But the problem is that he refuses to denounce Sharia law, and he calls to globalize an intifada. I'm going to say that again. He refuses to denounce Sharia law, and he's calling to globalize the intifada. So if you're going to call to globalize an intifada and you're not going to denounce Sharia law, that leads me to one conclusion, that you have radical religious beliefs. And those beliefs are not legal. Like, you can have those beliefs, but the moment you start normalizing those beliefs and you allow that stuff to happen is when violence and everything else takes off in this country. When these people over inside this city there's not going to be a vast majority of them, but a good number of them, even 1% of the 1 million that he ended up bringing up that were over there, to like 1% of them feel that they have a mayor that's going to end up backing him up. What do you think is going to happen to that Jewish population over inside of New York? They already have enough problems with people going around, and I don't want to say this. They have enough problems with people going around and harassing them inside of New York as it is. After starting this channel, I learned a lot of different things about the Jewish community and Jewish population. I learned about Shabbat. I learned about what they are and aren't allowed, like to carry, for example, on certain days, and the way that they go about doing it and extending their homes. And what you end up having is you have these groups of people that have to go around and check the different lines. I forget what the lines are called off the top of my head to make sure that they're all intact. But you have people that go around and cut those things, and just to try to make it appear as if or basically just it's an attack against their faith. They're going after even like some of the amulets and stuff like that they hang up outside their house. People are ripping them down. That stuff is likely only going to get worse when if this guy ends up becoming mayor, and if they feel that he is going to support them in that radical freaking belief. Yeah, I'm not comfortable yet saying that he's a jihadist, because if you are a Muslim and you are actually following the faith. I don't believe in Sharia law, but Sharia law is just one of those things where it's just a compilation of all the different rules that end up getting laid out between Qurans and Hadiths, and that they end up putting them all together, and they say this is the Sharia law, right? Here's another interview done with him.
So when people say democratic socialist, right, and I'm curious what you think this means. I mean, do you like capitalism?
No, I have many critiques of capitalism. And I think ultimately the definition for me of why I call myself a democratic socialist is the words of Dr. King decades ago. He said, call it democracy or call it democratic socialism. There must be a better distribution of wealth for all of God's children in this country. And that's what I'm focused on, is dignity and taking on income inequality. And for too long, politicians have pretended that we're spectators to that crisis of affordability. We're actually actors, and we have the choice to exacerbate it, like Mayor Adams has done, or to respond to it and resolve it, like I'm planning to do.
So when people...
Well, isn't that nice? So not only do we have to worry about potential for radical Islamic beliefs, but now we have to worry about socialism. This guy has nothing good that goes for America. He's actually calling to impose massive taxes on corporations. He's calling for all sorts of crap. That's not good. There is no reason for me to really have to go any further in depth with this gentleman and tell you why he is a bad deal for not just New York City, but for the United States of America. Because what ends up happening is you end up getting a snowball effect. It's the same thing that we ended up seeing with legalizing Mary Jane here in the United States and several other things, right? It's a snowball effect to where things just start happening. So if he starts getting away with some of this crap over in New York, the real question is how much quicker is it going to spread? California is a crap hole. A lot of people are fleeing from California faster than the Mexicans are crossing the border to get in there, right? So the question is, the question really is this going to spark some type of a revolution inside the United States? Is it going to create some sort of a safe zone? Are we going to see things like Epic City that is being drastically looked at by the government of Texas for violations of the law, as well as like coding and several other things, right? And discrimination and all sorts of crap. Are we going to start seeing that stuff spread? And I think the answer is yes. And I'm not saying that this isn't an Islamophobic thing, all right? This is an anti-socialist, anti-radical Islam deal. You know, the guy saying that he wants to globalize the Intifada, the guy refusing to denounce Sharia law, and then the guy just being an open socialist. And then he's not an idiot either. Here's the thing. He's not an idiot. He's pretty persuasive. Bringing up Dr. Martin Luther King and bringing up his views on several other things and then taking it and just throwing it out even freaking worse. He looks like Matt without the cap. That guy does not look... dang it. He kind of does a little bit, doesn't he? Why you got to say that, man? Why do you have to put that in the comment section? Now people are going to be thinking it, and I just read it and I said it out loud. Why do you got to put that crap down in the comment section, man? You know, those are just thoughts that you keep to yourself. You just go, you know what? I see this comparison, but I'm not going to make it. That's what you do. But no, that's not what you did. You ended up, yeah, come on, man. Do we? I don't know. I hope not. How do people forget the U.S. is a constitutional republic and not a democracy? I don't know how they forget that. And I end up bringing that up all of the time. People hate it when I bring that up, but it absolutely is. We are not ruled by the majority. I mean, we are to an extent, but at the same time, your rights, your voting rights and everything stops where you start impeding on the rights of others. And that's exactly what this guy clearly aims to do.
Let's take the other thing, right? He's talking about the Holy Land Five. In his rap song in 2017, he said, I'm in love with the Holy Land Five. So let's explain what the Holy Land Fives are. They are convicted criminals that have been convicted in 2008 for material support for Hamas. In 2001, the Holy Land Foundation was actually dismantled. In 2001, it was shut down. And in 2008, they were convicted. These 5 people were convicted for supporting Hamas. He is saying that he is in love with those people and asking you to look them up. So I say, absolutely look them up. That guy is so radical. He might be some sort of a Trojan horse, not just from Marxism. Let's take
the Holy Land Five. People that did evil things for the name of Hamas and the Palestinian people and everybody else. And he says that he's in love with them. In love with them. How much more evidence do you need that he supports radical Islamic terror? How much more evidence do you need? That one statement within itself, that he laid down on a frickin' track and published, I think is more than enough information that this country needs to know, yeah, he should hold no elected position whatsoever. If he wants to state dumb things like that, that's his First Amendment right. However, when you show support for an enemy of the United States of America, you have absolutely no business being in any elected position whatsoever. Not freaking one. Hamas, whether you like it or not, I don't care what side of the game. If you want to believe that there's a genocide in Gaza, fine, believe that. But even a lot of the Palestinian supporters will not support Hamas, at least not openly. This guy has openly stated his support for them. Do you need to hear it again? Because I'll play it again. He openly supports them. Openly supported them. He might not be saying it now, but he definitely did when that video ended up coming out. And that belief, that radical religious belief inside of his head, I think he owes people an explanation. I think he owes the people of New York an explanation for that statement, particularly if they're going to end up voting for them. And if you're Jewish and you live in New York City and you vote for this guy, or you're a Christian and you live in New York City and you vote for this guy, I have some serious, serious questions. You need to do some serious digging into your own soul and figure that out. In New York, you guys better pull your head out of your butt. Because if this guy gets in office, it's going to be bad. This isn't just me saying it. Let's hear from Mark Levin.
In hating capitalism, he's a pretty good candidate. You know, he's kind of a mix between Putin and Arafat. And let me be very clear about this. He's not an American-loving, moderate Muslim. He's an Islamist. That's what he is. I don't want to hear about Islamophobia. This guy's an Islamist. Islamists hate moderate Muslims. That's what he is. Now, let's look where he stands. First of all, he's 33 years old, so he's got pretty old. You know, Castro was only 29 when he took over Cuba. And here we have this guy. This guy's never run a hot dog stand, not even a kosher hot dog stand. He's never run anything except his mouth. Where does he stand? He won't endorse Israel's right to exist. Wow, that's a tough one. He defends the phrase globalize the intifada. That means he favors globalizing terrorism. When he's challenged, he said, oh, that's just what Palestinians say. No, it isn't, pal. I know who you are, and I know what you are. He goes on. He supports the boycott, divestment, sanctions, BDS movement against Israel, which means destroy Israel, withdraw all investments in Israel. So he's a Class A Jew hater in a city that has the largest population of Jews on the face of the earth. He, he wants to arrest Benjamin Netanyahu if he enters New York City. So he's got these fascist tendencies, too. What else? Taxation is not theft. Capitalism is theft. You know what, pal? Why don't you go into a supermarket? Look what the supermarkets provide the American people.
I'm telling you guys, I'm not the only one that's done the research on this dude and looked into him. He is a raging pile of garbage as far as I'm concerned. And he's a bad deal, not just for New York City, but he's a bad deal for the United States of America. Needs to go. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm also looking into the Epic City up over inside of New York. I heard something that kind of bothered me as well, and I'm starting to see a pattern emerging over here inside the United States. I'm not a huge conspiracy theorist, but part of me is starting to look into this and be like, you know, maybe it's a thing. Maybe this is something that we need to be worried about here inside of the United States of America. Just maybe.
I'm in North Texas. A Muslim is now the mayor of a Dallas suburb. Our Steve Pickett introduces us today to the mayor who says his faith is a proud banner and his desire to lead.
Amir Omar, and I am the mayor of the city of Richardson.
Amir Omar now leads the high-tech Dallas suburb to the north, Richardson. 120,000 people live here. Allah. And among the Richardson residents who adhere to Islamic faith, they have a fellow Muslim as the city's top elected leader.
It's a huge honor. Richardson's been home now for approaching 20 years, and representation matters. And at the end of the day, what you have is something that's very unique to the Muslim community.
He is a first for North Texas, a high-tech industry executive, a former Richardson City Council member, his parents Palestinian and Iranian. Voters citywide electing him, who may or may not have known his Islamic faith background, or if it mattered. For some, he says, it did.
Now, what do you guys think? Do you think that was possibly a strategic move to help get him into office? Maybe. You know, Richardson, shush. Richardson is about 6 miles away, from the East Plano Islamic Center, or EPIC. Right. And EPIC has hit the news a lot down inside of Texas over the last year, and even national news, because they were attempting to put up a brand new city. And that city itself that they were looking at putting out is probably about 30 to 45 minutes away from downtown Richardson. It's kind of far away. So why would I actually care whether or not that this guy is in Richardson? Because he's not, you know, where EPIC's at, and he's not where EPIC City's at. But check this out. Ended up seeing this, doing a little bit of research, and came across it. Attorney General Ken Paxton expands investigation into Epic City by demanding documents from local cities. Callsign Sam says he thinks the Islamic terrorist who murdered a soldier in London in 2013 isn't an act of terrorism. You've got to be kidding me. Thank you, Sam. I appreciate that, brother. I really do. Attorney General Ken Paxton is expanding his investigation into Epic City, which is affiliated with East Plano Islamic Center, by demanding documents from local city officials potentially tied to the real estate development. Records requests have been sent to city leaders in Plano, Richardson, and Wiley, following Yashir Qadi, an individual involved with Epic City, claimed to having support for local officials. This development is being investigated due to potential violations of Texas state law. Additionally, a records request was sent to Josephine, Texas city officials as well. So, if what they are doing is putting these leaders in position in different cities to get support for Epic City, which is already in violation of numerous laws. They actually got told to shut certain things down. There was something going on. I can't remember. I think it was like they were conducting unlicensed funerals or something of that nature. I forget. It had something to do with that. But if they are getting surrounding mayors, if they are getting, key cities surrounding that area to get their back, then it's a very strategic move for all of this stuff happening. And it's something that people in the United States of America should be worried about. And I'm not saying that this guy that I just ended up putting on the TV is part of that. I'm not saying that that's what he was there to do. But what I am saying, all right, is that there was a records request that ended up getting sent to Richardson, the same place where he's at, and that Richardson allegedly is or excuse me, Richardson is likely one of the surrounding municipalities that was supporting it. So what the hell is going on inside the United States? Things are being taken away from you while you're not looking, and they're trying to instill, in my opinion, Sharia law. And that's an issue. That is a national security issue as far as I'm concerned. Sharia law being enforced here in the United States of America would be a national security issue. That's a problem. BB said, check X just tagged you in a post, Yemeni wedding in Birmingham, England. Oh, dear God, man. Yeah, there's lots more to come out on this. I'm going to continue to dig in on this guy, and I'm going to continue to dig in what the heck he's actually doing. Well, not that mayor in particular, but some of the other ones. I'm going to start looking into some of those other areas and those other municipalities and see if we can't find a common thread in between them. I'm also going to be keeping a close eye on this New York City mayor. If you guys have any more information on that mayoral candidate for New York City that I haven't put out yet, feel free to DM it to me over on X. You guys, my X handle is like right down there. If you're not following me over there, you should be. I end up putting out a lot of information over there that I don't put out on this channel. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, I want to wish you guys a happy Friday. You may or may not be getting a video drop from me later on today. Yeah. Peace, love, happiness, and God bless. Because, ladies and gentlemen, I am most certainly out of here.